Hello and welcome back, friends, to a new segment that I'm calling Theory Thursdays. And this is where we'll be diving into the lore of Warhammer 40k and also the Horus Heresy, into little kind of tidbits that inspire and intrigue me, as well as responding to my wonderful audience's suggestions. This episode was one of them, as on my previous video where I discussed on why Vulcan should return, there was a lot of people that wanted Dorn to return. And yes, it was slightly biased, as I do love the lovable, huggable Lord of Drakes. But before we dive in, I just wanted to mention that if you enjoy this lore series of videos that I'm going to be doing and have any suggestions on the topic you want me to try and cover, then let me know down in the comments section below. Also, don't forget all the YouTube usual stuff, like, subscribe and share with your friends, as it makes me very happy and also lets me know that you like and want to see more of this style of content. So with all that out the way, get comfy, grab yourself a snack, and let's dive in. So before we dive into where Dorn is now, I just want to give a bit of an overview on ROGAL DORN and a little bit about his lore, a bit about who he is, for anyone watching along that doesn't really know who ROGAL DORN is. So, ROGAL DORN is the Primarch of the Imperial Fist Legion, and he was most commonly dubbed as the Praetorian of Terror. Not as in terror as in spooky you are, as in terror as in the homeworld of the Imperium, so Earth. They're known for being a defensive siege specialist, and they were the main force defending the Imperial Palace during the latter half of the Horus Heresy. Backed up by their stubborn, unwavering resolve, they were said to be as unmovable as the defences they created, and Dorn really embodied this to the extreme, being one of the most stubborn, yet loyal, Primarchs the Emperor had ever created. So much so that he is almost classed as being incorruptible. But due to this, he wasn't really known for a sense of humour and would be a little bit of a buzzkill at parties. He was the first to arrive at the Emperor's side after his climactic battle against the arch-traitor Horus on board Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit. Dorn then carried the broken body of the Emperor and was by his side as he was interned into the Golden Throne, where the Emperor has now sat for over 10,000 years. Dorn already had a fiery temper. However, having seen what the traitors had done to not only his sons, the Imperium, his brothers, but what they had done to his father and his dream, he became cold and full of grief and vengeance. And he knew exactly how to channel his hatred for the traitor legions. So, where was Dorn last seen? So, after the Horus Heresy ended and the Emperor was interned into the Golden Throne, Guilliman decided that it would be best to split the Legion off into chapters to help prevent yet another civil war from occurring. However, initially ROGAL DORN was outraged by this. He did not want to split his Legion up into chapters, so much so that his stubborn nature and unwilling to change almost sparked another civil war within the Imperium. However, he was eventually calmed down by this point, and the survivors of the heresy, of the loyalist side, decided to march out in grim determination to wipe out the remaining heretic forces from the galaxy, starting off with the Sol system closest to Terra. Now, Dorn and the other loyalists launched a bloody campaign known as the Scouring, causing most of the traitors that survived the end of the Horus Heresy to retreat into the Eye of Terror. And it was pretty successful. However, later into this campaign, sometime afterwards, Dorn was lured into a carefully constructed trap set out by his brother, Perturaba of the Iron Warriors. And these guys, they were the traitors at this point. Yeah, probably from the start of the heresy. But anyway, it was also known as the Iron Cage Incident, where the Imperial Fist fought with absolute zeal and ferocity, but sadly suffered massive losses. This was the greatest tragedies of the Imperial Fists, and they would have entirely all been wiped out, as they did not want to lose to Perturabo, because the two of them, they were very equal in terms of sort of Primarch abilities. So Dorn was more of the defensive specialist, whereas Perturabo was more of the breaking down the walls, the siege specialist. So the two, they were at each other's heads all the time. However, thankfully, Guilliman arrived with his Ultramarines, and they came in to save the remaining Imperial Fists and the battered and broken form of Dorn. And Dorn wasn't really happy about this, but reluctantly, after this incident, Dorn finally decided to split his Broken Legion into chapters after some persuading from Guilliman. So after this, in late M31, Abaddon the Despoiler, one of the head honchos of the Lunar Wolves then turned to the Sons of Horus, would launch one of his first Black Crusades into the Sol system that spilled forth from the Eye of Terror. His fleet sadly outmatched the Loyalist ships, so a front-on assault wasn't going to be the best option. This is where Dorn, alongside a host of his Marines, decided to perform multiple hit-and-run attacks to blunt the spear of this chaotic invasion fleet. Boarding enemy vessels, destroying them from within, and using captured vessels to turn their guns on the other traitor ships. This tactic was going extremely well, until on board a Chaos flagship known as the Sword of Sacrilege, Dorn and his brothers were sadly cornered by the traitors and were unceremoniously cut down to the last and slain. No one survived to tell of Dorn's last stand alongside his brothers. However, when the Imperial Fist reinforcements arrived and they boarded the Sword of Sacrilege, all they found of Dorn was a hand, which they returned this piece of Dorn to their flagship known as the Phalanx and placed it into status, preserving it as the last surviving shreds of their Gene-Sire. And to this day they actually scrimshaw onto the bones of the hands each name of the chapter master of the Imperial Fists. I don't know if that is still sort of canon lore, but I mean it was quite a few years back. It might have changed, so don't quote me on that one. So that was Dorn. So let's look at what would happen if he returned. I mean, technically, part of him is still there, so he is back, but not back. But no, all joking aside, if Dorn were to return, it would really help to even out the odds in the Imperium's unending war against Chaos. I mean, for one thing, it would be 3 Primarchs against 4, but it would also mean that Guilliman would have a very reliable and unbreaking brother at his side. Dorn's stubbornness would be something that may have subsided during his absence, and he'd maybe be a bit more sort of calm and more inclined to differing opinions. Or it could have gone completely the other way and hardened him even further, which would make him a challenge for even Guilliman to control effectively. I imagine that Dorn would be a formidable defense that Guilliman needs, and would most likely task him to aid in clearing out the Sol system of High Fleet Leviathan, making sure that Terra system was safe before then marching out towards new war zones. So I think that ROGAL Dorn would interact with Guilliman very, very well, and I find that they would work together to direct their forces in combating against enemies of the Imperium, but sort of targeting the ones that are at the most priority. at the top priority. Guilliman would be the hammer, and Dorn would be the anvil in which they would crush their opponents, and the two of them together would be seemingly an unstoppable force. How Dorn would interact with the lion, well, I'm not sure, as we still haven't had the lion and Guilliman meet up yet, which is just a crime. I think the lion came out like 2 years ago, released his model anyway, and him returning to the setting, and we still haven't a book about Guilliman and the lion meeting up yet. It's what a Games Workshop doing. I mean, come on. But I don't think that Dorn and the lion really interacted much during the heresy, and I imagine that there would probably be some friction between their personalities, what with Dorn being stubborn and the lion being so secretive. However, Dorn would be a massive thorn in Abaddon's side, as well as a huge threat to the Tyranids. And he'll most likely rally all the different chapters of the Imperial Fists with his Last War protocol, and just start sweeping the Sol system of heretics and Xenos before moving outward. This would most likely allow Guilliman to put more effort into the Imperial Nihilus, as that side of the galaxy is in dire need of a huge Imperial push. Now, in terms of how exactly Dorn would return is, frankly, anyone's guess. But I have a few ideas. So the first is that he could re-emerge from the warp on board either an enemy vessel or maybe just an ancient, previously lost Imperial vessel, and he's been guided by visions from the Emperor, and perhaps been given a portion of his immense psychic power to help him escape from whatever hellish realm that Dorn's been trapped in for all these years. And let's not forget that the warp really does screw around with time a lot, so he could have been in there for maybe a few decades, maybe a few centuries, and in actual fact 10,000 years has passed since he was last seen. Another theory is that he could be already in the material realm. So similar-ish to Vulcan, he could be on some unnamed planet somewhere out in the fringes of the galaxy, fighting against chaos or orcs or maybe some other unnamed or undiscovered Xenos threat. And he's just slogging it out, battling it out, just waiting for his sons to come and find him. It would probably make sense that it is in the very fringes of the galaxy where the Astronomicon, the light that navigators use to travel, is almost not there or not seen. So maybe the very north of Imperial Nihilus is maybe where he could be found, way up there, out of the light of the Imperium, just waiting for someone to come and find him. Or a third theory that may upset a lot of Imperial Fist fans is that he is in the clutches of Perturabo, and he is trapped in a sort of Iron Cage 2.0, and he just wants to get a little bit more payback at ROGAL Dorn. Just slowly being tortured by endless traps and fortifications, because that's kind of Perturabo's style, really. He's very bitter, and he does come across very childish, but I mean, there is more to his character than that. But surface level, yeah, he's very childish in that sort of thing, and I can see him doing that to Dorn. Just one last chuckle, one last jab, just to really mess with ROGAL Dorn, trying to break him. However, until Games Workshop wants to bring ROGAL Dorn back to the 40k narrative, all we can do at this point is speculate. So that is the video. So do let me know down in the comments section below if you agree with my theories, and if you enjoyed this video, then do let me know what you'd like to see next time, or if you want to see more of this kind of video. I do have quite a bit of fun with this, actually, and it is a little bit different from a painting side of things, but I just kind of wanted to dive into a bit of the lore, because there's lots of little kind of tidbits that have intrigued me for quite a long time, but I hadn't taken the plunge yet to do any lore videos up until sort of recently, that I thought, do you know what, let's give it a go, and if it works, happy days. If not, then, well, I gave it a go, and I've had fun doing it, and I've really enjoyed everyone's interaction with it and with their own theories and suggestions, and yeah, just really kind of being more involved with the community and kind of growing my own little community at the same time as well. So yeah, do all the usual stuff down below. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, and let me know if you want to see more of this in the future. So as always, stay safe, stay beautiful, and we'll see you all next time.